What's up, everyone? Tera Roberts here with Fantasy Alarm, and we are talking DFS bargains for Week 18. At quarterback, we have to be careful this week because it is very possible that multiple quarterbacks don't play a full game. So you want a solid option that will actually play a full 4 quarters. And Brock Purdy just might be the best bargain option that will play a full game. Kyle Shanahan has Arizona's number. And while Brock Purdy wasn't the starter in the season's first matchup, it does give us a good indication of how the game plan and flow could go. San Francisco scored a whopping 38 points on Arizona, with Jimmy Garoppolo throwing 4 touchdowns, 2 to Ayuk and 2 to Kittle. Purdy has fit well into Shanahan's system, and while 4 touchdowns might be a tall order, 2 is very reasonable, and he should pay off at his pricing. At running back, let's start off with an injury contingent option. Christian McCaffrey is dealing with an ankle injury. Elijah Mitchell was designated to return from IR, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be active this week. And the 49ers play the Cardinals. As I just mentioned, the game was an absolute blowout earlier in the year. It's possible that McCaffrey isn't needed or could be limited, and Jordan Mason gets the bulk of carries. Mason has been successful in terms of yards per carry, and if he's given volume against the Cardinals defense that has struggled to stop the run, I love Mason at just $5K on DraftKings. Another option is Zack Moss. The downside to Moss is that he isn't utilized in the pass game, so he's a better option on FanDuel than he is on DraftKings, but given the matchup against Houston, it is very possible that he finds the end zone and can pay off regardless of the format. Moss has had a total of 51 carries over the past 3 games and has asserted himself as the RB1 for the Colts with Jonathan Taylor out. He is likely a very low-rostered option, so he's kind of interesting. At wide receiver, assuming the Bucs either sit starters or pull them early, Russell Gage at just 4,400 on DraftKings against Atlanta is a very interesting option. There is some risk involved because if Gage does see additional action because Evans and Godwin are pulled, that also means that his quarterback would no longer be Tom Brady. But the good news is that Gage has a low ADOT that pretty much means that any quarterback should be able to work with him, so there's not really a huge risk in terms of drop-off at quarterback. Speaking of Tampa Bay, you could head across the sideline and grab Drake London at 4,900. London's performance was underwhelming last week. And while Arizona's defense has been very suspect, they have been specifically good at shutting down the wide receiver one. So it's kind of explainable, the performance last week. London has had a minimum of 8 to 12 targets over the past 4 games, and that streak should continue. And Tampa Bay's defense has been up and down throughout the season, but if they rest starters, this could open up opportunities to make things a little bit easier for London so he could benefit from softer coverage. Another option is Rashid Shaheed at 4,200. Shaheed typically sees one of the highest snap counts for the Saints wide receiving core and has an excellent matchup against a struggling Carolina defense that is dealing with significant injuries to their secondary. Shaheed is a big play receiver, suited for tournament play. He's not a high volume receiver, but he's a home run hitter, and this is a great setup for him. And you could also go with Greg Dortch at 3,800 on DraftKings. Now I know what you're thinking, Tera, why would we run it back with an insanely chalky player who was a massive letdown this week? Well, yeah, that's why. After a highly disappointing performance as an extremely popular value play, people might just be unwilling to go back to Dortch. So, he could be an interesting contrarian option if people don't go that direction. But the targets were there, and he was just really unproductive with them. But this could easily turn around this game. He got 4 of his 10 targets for 15 yards, but this is the same setup again with DeAndre Hopkins out. The targets will be there, and if Dortch can just be a little bit more productive with those targets, he can pay off. And at tight end, I'm not particularly feeling any low-priced tight ends this week. The lowest that I can get to is Trey McBride. San Francisco is a tough matchup, but the absence of DeAndre Hopkins has really opened up opportunities for McBride last week. And he had 7 receptions for 78 yards and 1 touchdown. And with DeAndre Hopkins out, he could continue to see increased opportunities. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to Fantasy Alarm, and good luck with all of your lineups this week.